let me tell you what there is a definite feeling of and has been since the Democrats have had the black vote. There has been a definite pall, grieving in the nation because mothers and fathers are burying their children. They weren't hung either, but because of your policies and the policies that Whoopi types purport, this is what we get. We get more and more young people, black people, the people she claims to support, they're the ones being buried. So I see many mothers and fathers and family members grieving, utter grief beyond compare. Prayerfully, we will never know that grief, and neither will Whoopi. She's fake. This is so outrageous. There's riots now on college campuses under Joe Biden. What the hell is she talking about?
He's going to deploy the military to deport migrants.
And the Mexicans are going to pay for it.
And he's going to absolutely consider pardoning January 6 rioters.
Of course.
Now, he was also asked if he thinks there will be political violence if he loses, and he answered, it depends.
Is he referring to something he was wearing?
You're on fire already.
You know? So is this, I mean, there's also, this is my favorite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you before I say it that it enraged me. There is a definite anti-white feeling in the country right now.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's what he said. You know, sir.
Oh, sir?
Yeah, sir. Nobody in your family was hung. Nobody in your family was chased because of the color of their skin. How dare you? There's no anti-white issue here. You are perpetrating anti-humanist issues here.
Oh, God.
Anti-humanist issues?
Nobody in your family was hung.
Yeah. I mean, this woman...
Nobody in your family was hung either.
Exactly.
Okay, so we want to respond to that. I want to start off with you, Shelley. Before we do that, did you hear Alyssa? She's in the background. The only conservative on on the panel, right. And she said, "You're on fire now." I mean, it's just so annoying. Shelley, what are your response to her?
All right, I'm sorry.
Oh. Where's Krista?
Yeah, Chris is missing it.
Okay.
Chris is missing
Again,
it.
the name Trump drives these women, I'll put it lightly, crazy. But let me say something. You're right, T. Nobody in her family was hung either. And I mean, nobody in my family was hung that I'm aware of. And granted, I know she's older, but let me tell you what there is a definite feeling of and has been since the Democrats have had the black vote. There has been a definite pall, grieving in the nation because mothers and fathers are burying their children. They weren't hung either, but because of your policies and the policies that Whoopi types purport, this is what we get. We get more and more young people, black people, the people she claims to support, they're the ones being buried. So I see many mothers and fathers and family members grieving, utter grief beyond compare. Prayerfully, we will never know that grief, and neither will Whoopi. She's fake. This is so outrageous. There's riots now on college campuses under Joe Biden. What the hell is she talking about? This is all under Biden. He's supposed to be, the president, he's going to be the one to unify us. Bullshit. Bullshit, Whoopi. Whoopi, you're phony, you're fake. You and your policies get more and more black people, the people you claim to love, get us killed and buried. Bull.
Yeah, I have to agree there. I want to go to you, Kim, on this. You mentioned, talking about the border as a major issue, the migrant crisis, illegal crisis, and you heard what she said, talking about that Trump is going to deploy the military to deport migrants. Now, in the actual article, he mentioned he's actually talking about the National Guard. Isn't that their job?
Yeah, so I have a problem with this whole entire thing, only because I know what editing does to a person, right? So I can't really truly believe
First-hand experience.
the first-hand experience. I don't know, we're reading this article from Time, but I don't know whether or not he actually said those words specifically, and that's why I wish that was kind of done video style plus the article. But even on top of it, Whoopi Goldberg, I had the honor of being on The View back in 2020, and she wasn't actually there that day, but the other women were, and I know their job is really just this propaganda, right? They just don't want people to trust Republicans or Trump in general, and so I know what they're trying to do, but for me, it's just kind of like, look, you have to be able to see through it. And people have to use their critical thinking skills. What Whoopi Goldberg is saying doesn't make any sense. And I think people know that by now. But you know what? And also, her last name confuses me. Isn't it Jewish?
Yeah.
It's so confusing. I don't know what's going on there. So, I'll think about that as well.
Yeah.
Her half-white daughter.
Crystal, what are your thoughts
She's
here?
always with a white man.
All right. Crystal, what are your thoughts?
I'll stay out of that.
But you ain't, but you ain't up there.
I'm not up there, doing all
Exactly.
that. No, you're right.
And the black community had your back.
Oh my gosh, Joy
Y'all
Behar.
remember that?
I know. I want to say, I'm black.
Right.
I'm black.
Right.
Well,
but
I'm not. So everybody knows.
Apparently.
Everybody knows that I've denounced it. So what I will say about Whoopi is it's just so sad to see what she's come from, like a beloved, respected actress. Fact of the matter is whatever she read, no lies detected. What President Trump said, he said what he said, that he's going to have mass deportation. Now, I've always wondered how it's going to do it, but honestly, I don't care. Like, we have millions of people that have come across this border, and they need to go. Like, at this point, I just want them all rounded up. We talked about. Then they said that he talked about, a woman, he wants to have the state to monitor abortion. This is how they do this thing. Yeah. President Trump has made it very clear about what his position is on abortion, and it is for the states to make the decision regarding abortion. So they try to make it seem like he said something different or he said something bad, and they try to villainize it. But the fact of the matter is, you get what you get with President Trump, and they just hate that no matter how you spin it, Whoopi, no matter how you say it, we know what he said, and we still don't care, and we're still voting for him. But thanks.
Yeah, if I could just say real quick on the deportation, I support that 100%, by the way. So it's like we can't just close the border. We also have to deport people. But those that signed up for the assistance, right? The illegal immigrants that receive some of the gift cards, the housing,
Homes.
and even in the school system now that you have illegal immigrants integrating in the schools in New York.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we know where they are and how we know exactly how to get a hold of them to deport them. So that's what we're going to use information-wise to get them out.
Okay, good to know.
I'm just trying to figure out, why does everything lead back to race? Because if you use common sense, deportation and your family being hung has nothing to do with one another. Like, why do we end up there? How do we always end up back in slavery? They're the ones trying to keep us enslaved. So at any point, at any conversation, they're going to bring it back to slavery. Black people, white liberals, you all bring it back to slavery. So that's where it needs to stop.
That tells you what they think of us. It tells you what they think of black people.
And none of them have been slaves.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
at
If
all.
you're living today, you haven't been a slave. And if you are white, most of y'all are not millionaires. So even if you were slave owners in the past, everybody in your family misappropriated the funds because you don't have it now. So it doesn't even matter.
I can use a slave right now. If we want to talk about it, because I need my house cleaned, I need my yard cut, I need some I don't have any farm land, but if I did, I would be using slaves right now.
But let me say this. I want to hone in on something she
I mean, the borders are open, so they are the slaves, actually.
Yeah, I want to hone in on something she mentioned about being enraged. So she said she was enraged because he said that there is a anti-white movement in this country. And she said, oh, no, that's not the case. Take a look here. This is clip number 2.
If you have a token white and you're hanging out with your friend group of color, you need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend. Like, don't just bring them with them. I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying. And another thing, it feeds into their ego. Like, don't let them think they're a good white person.
Accomplices ask, how can they support Black and Indigenous people of color? And Sometimes I really don't know what to say, but here's one easy way. Just don't have babies.
Women can single-handedly cause the white genocide that they are so afraid of. With 2.25 billion Asian women and 500 million white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations. In 2 generations, there will no longer be any blonde-haired.
These are some things I noticed about white American culture. Being grounded is a punishment to them. That's what they call punishment. The least grounded, least balanced, most destructive race considers being grounded a punishment? Yeah. They also say really violent phrases. They say things like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Why do we have to kill the birds? Why is everything so violent? It's almost like one's language and phrases reflects one's nature.
So that new Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix is the perfect example of the sensationalization of white violence. People have a much easier time sympathizing with white criminals than they do with black victims. People think these shows are harmless, but they actually contribute to a much bigger issue. It contributes to the viewpoint that white people are less violent than everyone else, and white violence is something to be consumed in media, and that's it.
What is with Caucasian people and like their inability to like read a fucking room?
So, I mean, this is what we're talking about. And Whoopi is sitting here saying that this is not some type of narrative. This is not being pushed in our schools through DEI, through critical race theory. I mean, read Ibram X. Kennedy book. Right. I mean, this is being actually pushed through the education system, this anti-white sentiment. I mean, ladies, I want to start with you, Shelley.
So one thing that struck me about that part when Whoopi said that, because she said this is an anti-human, whatever.
Right.
But I thought during BLM, they told us that if you said this was all lives matter, then you were the racist. So now it's anti-human, right? So they changed the language. And yes, first of all, black women, please do not get on anybody's camera with a damn bonnet on your head. Okay? Please don't do that. That's number 1. Number 2, black on black violence is way higher than any white on black violence has been. So where's all of this outrage for the black community that you all claim to be so, endeared to? Again, this is nothing but propaganda and demagoguery. They are making you fearful for your vote to keep you enslaved so you can be hung again, not just by your neck, but by your damn balls.
Oh my, yeah. I want to get you in on this, Kim. What are your thoughts there, what she said about that anti-white movement?
Yeah, no. So, my daughter, I have a 7-year-old daughter. She's black and Ukrainian, right? And so she hears some of these conversations sometimes, not a ton because she goes to private school, thank goodness. But she does hear some of it, and she's asked questions before, and she's like, Daddy's bright and you're dark. And, she's 7. She, it is what it is. And I say, yep, that's right. And she goes, yeah, I'm just half and half. And so I think, honestly, we're coming to a time now where it's like, it's obvious that, there is somewhat of an anti-white movement across the country. And for those to want to deny it, I think that's just ridiculous. And I thought the last young lady that was shown there in that clip, and she said, I wish white people could read the room. She looked mixed. So I was
the light bright.
So I was like, wait a minute, either your mom or your grandma.
It's always the light.
It's like, I don't know about this. But yeah, no, there's obviously a movement. And like you said earlier with what's going on in college campuses. I mean, yes, it's anti-Semitism, but let's be honest. This is also anti-white.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, the numbers show it. I mean, like more white men are dying of suicide and depression, and white women, I think I saw that it was like 25% of them are on antidepressants. Like, I mean, like it really is really starting to affect, and we don't talk about that because we somehow feel like they deserve it. But you guys, I'm telling you, like, the pendulum is going to swing, and you're not allowed to treat anybody. This is America. You're not allowed to treat anybody like that based on the color of your skin. And white people, I don't understand what it's going to take for you guys to stand up and not allow this to keep happening in your like country, and this is your birthright. And why would you allow your children's future to be sold down the drain? I mean, like this is just insane at this point.
Yeah,
meanwhile, white people are like, what did I do? I'm just living. I'm just existing. I'm just minding my own bills.
Minding their own business.
I'm minding my own business, paying my own bills, working just like everybody else, and yet I'm the enemy here. And meanwhile, half of those people are dating white men.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's talk about the Asians. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Asians.
No, the Asians.
Let's not talk about Asians. Don't. You know how I feel about Asians. But let's not talk about Asians. We're gonna talk about the anti-white agenda that they're putting on these people that don't have anything to do with it. They're not slave owners, and I mean, I can't say what I was gonna say. Even the slave. No, I'm gonna say it. Even the slave owners, they were just participating in capitalism. They were just participating in making sure that their crops were. I mean, free labor. Who wouldn't want free labor?
It wasn't free. Slaves to own a slave cost a lot of money.
Well,
you had to be very wealthy, and that's what people don't talk about. Is that less than 10% of white people actually own slaves.
We need to change the speak. We need to change the vocabulary when we talk about this stuff. It's not black, white, Asian. It's not all that. We're all Americans. You know, I was saying a couple weeks ago, I'm not black. I'm a daughter of the kingdom.
I'm not black.
And so, you know, that's the way I would like to phrase it. We need to move into this post-racial speak and stop. This is what they use to divide. It's a Marxist tool to divide us, to bring about chaos within the America, and that's all it is. That's all it is.